Hey everybody, I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to get the PowerPoint area started at 6 p.m. So we've got 7 minutes here and then I'll start over there. All right, it is 6 o'clock. If you'd all like to start migrating over this way so you can see the PowerPoint. Alrighty, I'm going to get started over here. So tonight, this meeting is for information purposes only. So we can talk about policy, but I don't want to go into specific situations as each situation with housing is confidential. So I'm happy to answer broad questions or to book private meetings if you'd like something specific, and I ask that everyone please remember to stay respectful. So our agenda tonight is, first I'll go over who is on the housing team for the band office. We'll talk about new construction, the renovations procedures, rental processes, and then some ongoing projects that we have. So on the housing team, there is myself, Brianna Jack. I am the Real Properties Projects and Maintenance Coordinator. And so I am a member of Wilpsi Basa. Donna Gawa is my grandmother. I have very strong connections to this community and joked with somebody tonight that I'm probably related to everyone in some way or another. So very strong connection to this community if you don't know me yet. Then we have Irving Johnson, who is a carpenter. Kristen Iverson is a housing caretaker. Eunice Barnes is the tenant relations officer. And then Aiden Johnson, you would have met tonight at the door. He is my housing youth intern. And so he is here on a term position funded by CMHC. Do you have a question? Or are you just scratching? Okay. So yeah, Aiden has just started with us, and I'm really excited to have him on board. He's been 4 weeks now. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, so it's really exciting to train a young guy, and he's been doing really wonderful, so I hope he is one day my retirement plan. So I'll just get right into new construction. So for new construction, before you fill out the package, the first thing that I always recommend people do is decide what kind of home that they want to build. So there are the three most common types: modular or trailer, the prefabricated, or a traditional stick build. So all homes built on reserve must meet current BC building code and be considered permanently affixed to the lot. So these tiny homes that you see on trailers with the tires, those don't qualify for the subsidy. And these are rules that are given to us by Indigenous Services Canada in order to apply for the program. They are not ones that the band has come up with. So to build a home, you need to fill out the package, is kind of number one. There's a lot selection part in the package. So lot selection should be done with your housing application. It goes hand in hand with being ready to build a house. It's not something that you do outside of building, it goes with building a house. You don't get to select a lot if you're not going to be building a house. You'll need your blueprints, and then all quotes so that your home is move-in ready. So you need your foundation or sonotubes. We need the quote for that. The hydro, water, sewer hookups, your site work, so any lot clearing, grading, seeding that needs to be done, and then all of the labor and material to build the house. And this includes all of the sub-trades, so your electrical, plumbing, heating, all of those. So then you have all of those quotes added together is your cost to build a house. Right now, the subsidy from the Indigenous Services Canada, or I will probably refer to them as ISC for the rest of the night, is $110,669. And so that is the current subsidy until the federal government announces their budget, at which time it may change. So this might be changing come, I think, October, maybe they'll be releasing a budget. So this is possible to change. And so if you take your cost to build, subtract the subsidy amount, you will end up with some kind of shortfall most of the time. It's very hard to build a house in 2025 for $110,000. So anything that is in your shortfall, you will have to pay. And so you can pay this in a number of ways. So the first most common one is by members going to get a mortgage. So the band works to guarantee a mortgage program on reserve, and we work with both BMO, Terrace, and RBC Higwilget to provide these mortgages to members. And so it's just like off reserve. Your credit will need to be in good shape. Your earnings will need to be in line with what you're borrowing. So the bank will determine all of that, and they will give you a letter of a conditional approval, and that letter will be part of your housing package. Or some people may have the money in their bank account, and so we would just require a letter from that bank saying that they have it there ready to go. And then once your new construction application is approved, we would require that amount be sent to the band office in full, and then we would just pay for all of the construction costs throughout the construction. So next, that's it for new construction. That's kind of the process that a lot of band members have to go through if they want to build. Next, I'll talk about the renovations. So all renovation dollars right now come from Indigenous Services Canada, and they're application based, so we don't get an amount every year even. Yeah?
What do you mean by applications?
So I was asked what I mean by... I was asked what I mean by application, and so it is not an individual application. It is an application that comes from the Kispiox Band Council that goes to Indigenous Services Canada.
How do you assess your application?
So let me, I feel like if you ask me this later, I might kind of answer it as I go, okay? So everything is based on application that comes from the Kispiox Band Council. So once we have an application that we send to Indigenous Services Canada, the process is very slow. ISK for BC has 2 staff that serve all of BC. And so we have over 200 nations in this province that 2 staff are serving. It's very frustrating for everybody. So approvals have been taking, we're up to almost a year right now. And once approved, it takes 2 more months to receive the funds. So for community, I do not accept renovation applications year-round. So they are accepted when we have an active intake. And when we do an intake for housing applications, I always make myself available if anyone needs any assistance at all with the application. So I have a hand up, and then...
Hello. When you say it takes a year, like I made an application before Christmas last year. I didn't hear anything yet. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, so last October to December, we had a renovation intake. And so all of these applications, once we came back to work in the new year in January, we went through all of them. We brought them to Band Council. Band Council approved. In the last round of intake, Council approved all eligible applications. So we've sent them off, and we are waiting to hear from the government now. And so I have no answers yet, other than I have sent the applications in, and I am waiting for the government, and I have a couple hands. So Aiden is running around, if you put your hand up, to bring you a mic.
Yeah.
So your application is with the federal government right now. And so, because I've sent it to them, and I'm waiting for an answer. So you don't need to reapply. You've already applied, we've sent the application on. Okay, now Lorene?
I'd like to know how many applications were sent in. How many completed renovation applications were sent in?
I believe it was 17 or 18.
And out of that 17, how many do they normally approve per year?
I have asked them for a number. They have not given me one. They just say it's application based and to put the applications in. So they don't give me a limit. I've tried to ask for one. They won't give it.
Okay. Thank you.
So, okay. So ISK policy does not allow for the total renovation amount to be applied again within a 10-year timeline. So once you receive a renovation, you're only eligible every 10 years. So if someone only uses $5,000, then they would be eligible for the remainder in that time, but they can never exceed $55,334 in a 10-year time. And so if you apply for a part of your renovation amount for, let's say, a roof repair, and it gets approved, and you use a certain amount for that, and then you need a bathroom adaptation, and you use, again, not the full amount, then you'll still have the remainder for the rest of the renovation. So over that 10-year time span, it's $55,334 that you're total eligible for. So in an emergency, we have sent in some applications for a roof repair, and again, it's very slow, so we're still waiting. But we can do that where the roof repair won't cost the full $55,000, so you're still eligible. If the roof costs $5,000, then we spend that now. Then within the 10-year time span, you're still eligible for the other $50,000. Okay? So sometimes because you haven't applied during intake, we will, in an emergency, put a special application in just for something like a roof leaking or things like that. Ambrose.
Is there a program where individuals or whatever applicants can just go to the BMO or Royal Bank and borrow their own money for renovations and then have the bank or the band co-sign for them?
Yes. So both of those banks that I mentioned that we work with for mortgages on reserve will not just do new construction, they will do renovation loans as well. And a really nice thing about this program is that it is the lower mortgage rates that you'll pay on interest. You're not paying the high like personal loan interest costs. So interest is high right now, but at least it's a little bit of a lower amount.
It's not kind of on the same question. Is there a minimum you can borrow and like a top amount or maximum?
Yes. So the maximum that you can borrow on reserve is $250,000 per member. And then the minimum amount, off the top of my head, you're testing me here, I believe, is $25,000. So if you would like to go use a loan, you can go to BMO Terrace or RBC Hegelget. We work with both of those banks to provide mortgages on reserve. And they can be used for new construction or renovations of your home. Again, this is based on your credit and your earnings, like the bank will test you individually. And so you can borrow a minimum of, I believe it's $25,000 up to a maximum of $250,000 that the band will guarantee. And this is a really great program because it is the mortgage rate interest that the bank is charging you, not the higher amount that you would pay in a personal loan. And you can also borrow it over a longer period of time than a personal loan is. So it's up to 25 years instead of like having to pay it off in 7 or 8 years. The bank will. So what you do is you go to the bank like anything else. So you'd set, like if it's RBC Hegelget, you set up an appointment with Jen Gladstone, and she runs your credit and everything like that. Like there's no form to fill out. You just set up an appointment with the bank. And then I will help you on the band council side because it is band council approved. So once you have your conditional approval letter, you bring that into me, I bring it to band council. Yeah. So yeah, we are awaiting the results for the applications that we've sent in. And right now, there is no community emergency funds for repairs of privately owned homes. Aiden's coming.
Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I didn't hear what's the maximum I can ask for renovation at my house.
The renovation subsidy is $55,334.
$55,000.
Yes.
I would need an inspector to come in my house. There's already been one in there, and I never got any figures from him. And the inspector came at your request, your office, and I've had no communication with him since. I find that odd, and frankly, it's scaring me that all that paperwork and time is gone. And you people don't have any recollection of that. That scares me. That means you don't care about me. Something as serious as a house inspection. There's all kinds of things wrong in there, and lots of people in the village know about it. And I've made applications, paper applications, and some people have no recollection or records of my application. I wish I kept a copy of those letters. Thank you.
So I do care. I do my best at this job, but I am ultimately human and prone to making mistakes, and I don't remember everything. I refer to my notes and my files and my emails, and Aiden has been a godsend as far as my files go. He's been doing so much filing and super helpful. I'm really grateful to him. Like I said, I don't want to get into specifics, but I would love to meet with you. I did make a note when you requested earlier. Bill?
Yeah, up in the corner in this pamphlet here, it says for information only. Is there a housing committee? Who put all this together?
I put all this together. We don't currently have a housing committee. Everything goes from housing to council.
It doesn't really it gives the people in this assembly here to really try and figure out what you're saying, because we haven't gotten to the base of how and when and how are we going to pay this back?
Pay what back?
Pay the money back if it had to be set up in the term of borrowing money, like we right now. I'm going to go back a little ways here. Right now we owe $12 million here, and who's going to pay for that? And because there are no people working here other than a few administration going. There's the school, there's the band office, and also the Indigenous Service Canada involved in this. And Indigenous Service Canada do not they don't get into a continuity. They do one point at a time, and that's about it. And so Service Canada is a program operates by employment and social development of access for the government of used program. Who fills out the forms for just one time only? It's not a continuity thing. What band office administration is doing is not quite clear to the people, the constituents of Kispiox. It's not quite clear. It has to be a lot clearer. There has to be a housing committee. But here you have in very, very small writing, it's just information. So that's why I'm asking the question. Is there a housing committee? No. Well, who puts it together? You did. For the whole constituents of Kispiox?
I put this presentation together so that members could understand the programs and we could answer anything.
Yes, under what authority do you put it together for the constituents of Kispiox? This is very important. It is so important that we have to be as well and be parallel with the municipality.
I don't know what you mean. I work for the band office.
Kispiox administration is only for infrastructure, and that's what it's for. No other than that. Unless you take it upon yourself to become a slumlord. And I don't know how that's going to work. So if there is no committee, I think we should just shut this down and put the committee together, because you are going to get the constituents of the Kispiox village in trouble.
So I work for the band Blanca is my boss, right? And she is the employee of band council, and I bring housing matters to band council for approval. So like the mortgage program, I think you had kind of mentioned, that's approved by band council. I just put the information together to present to them.
The band council is not above the constituents of Kispiox.
No, I wasn't saying that they are. I'm just trying to explain how I work in this, I guess, and why I'm here. It was kind of requested that there was a lot of, I guess, at the community meeting, I wasn't here, a lot of housing questions came up, and there was a lot of misunderstanding on the programs.
I would just love to see a committee set up and then come back to us and tell us what's going to happen, what's going to go on. There has to be a committee. As a matter of fact, even a standing committee.
That is a matter for band council to decide.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then I think Henry had his hand up first, and then Murphy.
Hi. I see that there's 110,000. I'm just wondering, what is the possibility of putting things like a budget kind of for single people in single dwellings that can be affordable housing that can fit within that budget? Because there's a single dwellings up there. I don't know what they cost to build those places, but if there is something that can be to assist single people getting housing to kind of fit within that budget. Like, it doesn't have to be that fancy and all of that jazz, but I'm just saying, like, you can make a one-bedroom place. I don't know.
I hear you. I love what you're saying. I would love to do that. I just got a quote for a C-can that's been modified to be a residential place. So all it has is a kitchen, a bathroom, and no bedroom. It's all open. It was $129,000 without any shipping to Kispiox, foundation, site hookups, none of that. So just $129,000 for a modified C-can. Like, I think the tiny homes could be doable for a member if they had some family willing to put in some sweat equity for them. But without that sweat equity key, I don't think it's feasible, not financially.
Yes, I want to talk about renovations.
Yep.
First of all, I'll give you a little history of my dilemma here. First, I fractured my right hip, and then I fractured my wrist, and then I fractured my fingers. And but I couldn't really wait for the band to help me out on these renovations, so I went ahead and did it myself. And I was just wondering, is it possible? Or do you have a list of when my last renovation was and how much is the balance on it or what? And could I get it reimbursed for the work that I've done on it?
So first, no, we cannot reimburse. ISK will not allow that. It's a very clear no. For when you got your last renovation, how much it was, if you come see me at the office, I can pull that information up. I've got it on a spreadsheet.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation and information session. For Henry's question there, I believe if you look up online, you could find some affordable houses. And like Brianna said, there's a sweat equity that you have to put into too, if you want to keep it within that budget. I think when we built our kids' house, it was like $149,000 altogether. It's a single bedroom, it's got a living room and kitchen and a bathroom. So we ended up spending like $40,000 of our own money. So, but we didn't put any sweat equity into it. So if you want to build a house that cheap, you got to put in the work too. So thank you, Brianna.
Okay, thank you. I would like to explain too, since that 110,000 is the government subsidy, we are doing daily research because there is so many companies offering all the C-cans and insulated old cabins. There is a huge market for tiny houses. Problem is requirement or BC housing or CMHC housing grant, it has to be under BC building code. So if that tiny house is done by a small company somewhere, looks nice, they are not able to provide certification, it does agree with the BC or Federal Building Code. That's the drawback. So anything which is approved certified to be eligible for funding, the cost is higher. You know, if you do self-built house, 40,000 fine if you don't need government subsidy. The second unit subsidy, it has to be under BC building code. So I just want to let everybody know it's not that simple to fit within that low budget. Has to be certified building, at least step code 3. So that means higher cost. Thank you.
I just wanted to share, you know, that we have a home that's on the reserve right now that was being built. It's a 3-level building code, and the total package was $112,000. You know, and I went in, I took a look at it. It's certainly not a home for me, but it, you know, because it's 3 levels. But for the younger people, you know, that, you know, can afford to go to the bank and get a loan, you know, why can't we support those young people so that they can actually, you know, have a home and pay into that home and you know, when we have such a high homelessness rate, and, you know, it's just up on the hill, you know, and I think that it's a wonderful idea. I would certainly support any of my family members that want to, you know, invest in that, and because it'll be something that they will own eventually, and it's something that they can't take away. Because I know when I went into my home, I was told, yeah, you know, one late payment, that house goes back to the band. And yeah, I made sure, you know, that I paid every month and being responsible. So I think that opportunity needs to go to our young people, you know, if they can afford it and their families can support them. Thank you.
That is part of why I'm sharing here tonight, so hopefully you can let any young people in your families know that this program exists. The subsidy is $110, so it's the highest it's ever been and has made homeownership a lot more attainable for people. So yeah, that's why I'm sharing the information, so because the young people would have to put the package together and bring it to me, right? So, and I'm willing to help, but they ultimately have to decide what they want their house to look like and put the make those decisions, right? So next I have maintenance fee. So as we don't have any emergency funds with the band office, many community members have been reaching out asking the band for help when they need repairs in their home. So the band can collect a monthly maintenance fee from members who choose to enroll in a program, so that as smaller issues arise, the band would be able to help. There is a lot of work that would need to go into setting something like this up. So before we write policies and decide on scope, I want to know, is the community interested in a program like this? Because if not, I don't want to put in the work. It's not meant to take the place of a renovation program, but it could help with smaller issues. So if your hot water tank goes, then you've been paying this maintenance fee monthly to the band, so we can replace your hot water tank, or, you know, stuff like this. So the smaller things. And that's kind of the question. I don't know if you guys want to let me know individually or anything like that, if this is something that would interest you.
Hello? Okay, maintenance fee. I have a hot water tank issue right now. So if I get help with my hot water tank, are you saying I pay you back, which is fine with me, but after I've paid you back, basically the house still is in my name?
Yes.
And so it's like a lien that you put on our house?
No. So it would just be, if members wanted this program to exist. Like I said, there's a lot of work to do. I haven't done any of it. I'm just asking, are you interested in paying money every month to the band office? And then your hot water tank goes, and then we could help you with that because you're in the program. So you just pay like a monthly fee to be in this program where we could help with items like this. So it's a question because I'm getting a lot of requests, and right now the band has zero money. I cannot help with anything unless it's under one of these programs that I've talked about, like the renovation or new construction. So I was kind of going, well, I'm getting all these requests, and the only solution I have is this, because ISK will not give us emergency dollars. I have asked and asked and asked and asked again. It's an absolute no every single time, and I will continue to bring it up, I promise, as will, I'm sure, our chief and council. But this was something that I kind of just had the idea and wanted to see if the community would be receptive to it before I go and put in the work to write some policies and come up with a scope for what would be included and how it would all work.
I just want to say that, you know what, I think it's a great idea. However, I think there should be exclusions, because I don't want to be paying into something, a house maintenance fee, and then have a house, you know, that gets constantly partied in, not respected, you know, have irresponsible renters or whatever, owners, and then we are constantly paying for that. I see that already on the reserve, and I just think it's, you know, pretty sad, you know, because there's other people, you know, that wish they could live in that home, and they don't have nothing. And then they go move into, you know, Soapberry.
Yeah, so that's stuff that we could definitely include if we do this, but I don't, like I said, maybe just if you're comfortable, raise your hand if you're interested. Otherwise, you could let me know individually, because it's just something that I'm wondering, is it worth me figuring all of this out and then nobody enrolls? You know what I mean? So I don't want to figure everything out and have nobody in the community actually sign up for this program, right?
Per month?
I don't know. I would need to look into that too. It's just, it could be $50 to $100 a month. Like, I just genuinely don't know. It depends on the type of things that we include in there, right? Kind of, without the terrible insurance people. Because, like I said, I do really genuinely care and want to help people, unlike insurance agencies. Well, if you're comfortable to move on, I wanted to talk about our rentals now. And, sorry, I see a question.
Sorry, Brianna. We went through this so quickly, and
Sorry.
I didn't get a chance to ask the question earlier, so I'm going to go back a bit. In the new construction steps, I don't see anything about contractors. Is that a part of the formula?
Yeah, so I mentioned that you need quotes for your labor and materials. So your contractor, that'd be your labor costs.
Yeah, it says, yeah, sub-trades. It's all it mentioned in here.
So labor and materials to build the house, including subtrades. So the labor and material, so the labor part would be your contractor quote, because that is the labor to build the house. And then I put including the subtrades, just so you know you also need, like if your contractor doesn't include electrical, then you'll need to go and get an electrical quote for your house build, right? So it kind of varies from contractor to contractor what they include in their quotes. All right, so right now we are doing a blind point system for tenant selection. So we're not including names in our tenant selection. And there's been a lot of conversations and questions about how the heck this is working. So I thought I would talk about it right now for the tenant selection on our on-reserve rentals. So right now, we add up points. And so as it stands, all of these things, I've kind of just put pluses and some minuses in there. So there's an affordability worksheet that, so people would put their income and their monthly expenses, housing related and non-housing related. And based on the formula, it will tell us like how affordable this rental is for you. So they could get up to 25 points or minus 10, depending on how they're scoring. So if they cannot afford to live there at all, they get minus 10 points. But if they, I mean, our rentals are very affordable. So maybe I will throw out here that for I think it's 4+ bedroom, we charge $700 a month. For a 3-bedroom is $565 a month. A 2-bedroom is $450 a month, and a 3-bedroom or 1-bedroom, sorry, is $350 a month. I should have put this on the screen. I'm really sorry for that. And so, because they're so affordable, we want to know that like you can afford to live there. So the affordability worksheet is the first thing that we look at. Anybody who works for Kispiox or an organization that supports Kispiox, then they get extra points. If somebody has a child returning from MCFD care and their like housing is their last barrier for their children to return, they get extra points for that. And that I deal with Bambi directly to award those points. It's not something we have on the application. If they are living in the area, they get some extra points. If they have good references, extra points. No references, they get minus points. If they're homeless, they get extra points. Living overcrowded, extra points. Having dependents, couch surfing, facing homelessness. If they live on reserve, they get more points than if they live in the area, because the council that set this had wanted to deal with the overcrowding on reserve and have that be worth more. So the on reserve living gives you extra points over being just kind of in the vicinity of this area. And then if you're an elder or have disabilities, that's extra points. There are some points removed if you have a criminal record. If you're a band member, you get 10 points. Or if you are accepted to be a band member with the BCR from the Band Council resolution, then that's 5 points. So you're getting a little bit less if you're not yet a 532 member, but you've been accepted and we're just waiting for the government to give us your number. If you've had an application that was previously denied, you get 5 points for each time you've been denied. So apply, apply, apply. Don't give up on applying. Yeah?
I don't know if this is dumb, but like, if it's just like a little thing, it doesn't really matter. So like, if you did like something not too serious, you doesn't matter, you know? That's all I had to say.
Well, and so on our application, there's a point where we say, you know, do you have a criminal record? And it would be a self-reported yes. And if you put yes, you would put why. And then, so after we get the points, the last thing that I'll mention on this slide is that if you have no debts to the, you have to have no debts to the band. If you owe the band any money, it is an automatic disqualification from renting from the band. And then, so points are rated on each application, and then that's done with a rating sheet, and that is used to tally all of these points in a spreadsheet. And so the highest point application will be presented to council for approval, and once approved, their name is revealed. And so we just keep the names out of it so that we can make this decision without our hearts. And when I started here, you know, I had heard a lot from community about concerns over, you know, nepotism and favoritism in the decision-making process. So by taking the name out, we are able to just make decisions based on all of those items that I mentioned. And so typically the council will see the full spreadsheet. And so it's applicant A, applicant B, applicant C, and I just use the alphabet to identify the different applications, and council doesn't know who they are. And then if they see criminal record, then we kind of identify what they've put if they add comments in there. So if it is, you know, a really serious offense, council will see that. If it's not, they will get that. Aiden, you want to go to the back?
With this, what you just talked about with the tenant selection, do we have anything similar to that, like with the renovation applications?
So we talked at the last intake about how we would do the selection and doing something similar, but council approved every eligible application that came in. So we didn't really select based on anything except for you've had a reno in the last 10 years, so you're not eligible. So it was, if they were eligible, all of them got approved by band council, so we haven't really had to set criteria yet.
But isn't it true that we have like people that have waited for the past 10 years to get use their renovation dollars, you know, that they've had like approved over the years, and now they're finally, you know, trying to...
So if they applied between October and December, when I posted that we were accepting renovation applications, because they would have had to apply when I posted that, basically. So if they applied in that time, it was approved by council and we didn't need to do a selection. So I haven't yet done one with council since I've started here.
But I'm talking about prior successful renovation applications.
I don't know how those were selected.
Because I know that I've constantly been hearing, you know, that we lack carpenters to come in and actually take the bills and the money for renovations, and everything's kind of like backed up because there's not enough people that are coming in to do the bills, like with the renovations. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking for more people to get into the trade, so I'm always encouraging, like, tell everybody that you know in your family, get into the trades. There's so much room, especially like carpenters, plumbers, electricians. We need way more of them to do all of the projects that we need to do in Kispiox. But I'm just saying, like, from my time with the band, we haven't done that system with renovation selection, just because there was no need. We approved everybody that had applied with the thought that we would be able to get all those renovations done in the time span that ISK requires. Outside of that, I can't speak to how previous renovation selections were done. I have no idea how they did selection. They may have implemented a system like this. Typically with renos, I would really encourage looking at need, health and safety. If you're an elder or person with disability, that kind of stuff would matter a lot, as well as the state of the home. Again, that health and safety.
I won't say who, you know, but I didn't appreciate, you know, being chuckled at by, I'm not saying you or anybody right now in the office, but older people that were in the housing chuckling, thinking, yeah, you know, the year after you already moved in there, you know, yeah, you know, everybody was eligible for a pony wall. They just approved all of that, you know, the following year. So, you know, I'm still, you know, I've got a house, it's paid for and everything, but, you know, the basement's never ever been completed. You know, there's still soffits, you know, that are open and exposed, and, you know, critters, you know, coming in whenever they want, rent-free, you know, they just stay in my house with me, and they don't pay nothing.
If you figure out how to get them to pay, let me know.
With nuts.
All right, so the final topic I want to go over is our ongoing projects. So right now I'm working with...
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
In regards to the rental units, I just heard you say a two-bedroom is $450 a month. And the one I'm living in is a two-bedroom. I'm paying $650. And I'm on disability right now. And just making it by. But I don't know. I'm not too happy with that points program you have going. I don't agree with it. Like what Mr. Bill Blackwater said, there should be a housing committee to treat people fair. And when you go to that band office, it's a straight no. You sit with you, and you don't let us finish talking, you just go on and on. I hope this doesn't affect my tenancy, because I'm speaking up.
This is a public meeting, and I don't see most councillors here, but our chief is here. And there are a lot of homeless people in the village. It's pretty sad to see. People that are in need, people that are living in moldy houses. I don't know, you should check into that rental unit I'm into, because I'm paying $650. First year I was in there, it went up by 100. I'm happy with the place I have. I had to get a doctor's note to get into one of those units. But I'm not happy with the point system you have going.
Can you tell me
There should
what?
be a housing committee. That's what I think. That's what I suggest also. There's 3 of you working now. Instead of the 3 of you, get a housing committee on board. And I don't appreciate house inspection every month where Eunice comes in, inspects the place. I'm not a pig. I look after the place good, clean. It's invasion of privacy. Do you see this in people that rent in town or in cities? No. Monthly inspection. But another thing I'm not happy about is seeing my cousin live up the hill here. 4 adults evicted. Instead of sending them to treatment center or something, you guys evict them. And there's 4 adults living in one little trailer. That's very sad. This is Kispiox. We used to work together, and now we're going into the White Act. BC Housing. Even BC Housing doesn't have monthly inspections. But I'm just voicing out my opinion. And I'd like to see, a housing committee where they can't say no to elderly people that need renovation to their house, or just a basic toilet that's not working, or a hot water tank. They shouldn't be paying out of their pocket. Wasn't for them, you wouldn't be working. Wasn't for all of us in this community, you wouldn't be working. But this is what I want to put out there. You guys think about that homeless family that's living up the hill here. Very upset about that.
So, like I said, I won't talk about specific situations, but you've said you don't like our tenant selection. I would love to know how you would improve it, because we've taken the names out to be unbiased as we make our decisions. We've done this point system that council has approved, and we've added in different things as time goes on based on what chief and council wants to support, like children returning from MCFD care to bring more kids out of care, helping those who are working for our community so that our community can keep running. These are things, so I don't know how to make a better system where we're not, because once we reveal names, we are ultimately going to be biased. There's no way not to be. So we've taken that away to be as fair as possible. So with those rentals, the trailers up on Soapberry and Tumitz, all of those ones include utilities. And so that extra cost is utility cost that is being assessed based on the hydro bills that are coming in for those units. So the $450 is rent, the extra amount is utilities. Okay? So it's not all rent. It means that you don't pay hydro, basically. So we do that because that's how we had to set it up there so that we could have a generator. So all of those ones have utilities included in the rent. Nobody else has utilities included in their rent, and that's why there's the extra cost. Monthly inspections are something I can bring up to our new chief and council. It was requested by previous chief and council because all of our housing rentals are Kispiox banned assets, and the monthly inspections were brought in when we brought in all of the, as Lauren likes to call it, the 24 plexes, the 4 6-plexes. And so it's just to make sure that our assets are being maintained, that everything, a lot of our tenants are first-time tenants. They've never rented before, so they don't really have a good understanding of what is a tenant responsibility, what's a landlord responsibility. So Eunice going in every month helps make sure that, hey, this thing is happening, let's get our caretaker in there right away to fix it. And so it's not trying to see if you're being a pig or not. It's about making sure our asset stays in good condition. It's about making sure that we're fixing what we need to so our housing stays in really good, healthy condition for you to live in, because we don't want what's happened in the past to happen again. When I started here, I walked into a rental house with no flooring. They had plywood. They had water leaks, they had mold, and we're finally getting away from that. And these monthly inspections really help make sure that we are staying on top of our maintenance as a landlord responsibility. So it's not to try and I'm really sad that you have that impression of them. That was not the goal at all. And then I think that was everything you brought up. I wrote notes to make sure I could address everything. But I would love more input for how you would improve our tenant selection, because if not this, then what? And I think Aiden has some questions in the back, and then we've got some up here too.
Hi. In response to what you were saying about the inspections, I was renting in Agassiz, and the landlord there inspected every 2 months. He had a list. He would check our balconies, and if he decided, nope, you got too much on your balcony, you're going to have to clear some of it off. He would check our bathrooms and stuff like that. He was checking to see if the faucets were leaking. He was quite conscientious, but he made a point of checking every 2 months. And I know some other facilities, it's 3 months. But this guy had written into his lease that we signed that he would be coming around every 2 months. So it depends on your landlord and what is written in the lease. If you don't like it, then you don't move into a place that checks you every month. We moved into a place that checked us every 2 months. And that's the way it is. The landlord has rights. We do. A tenant has rights. Unfortunately, the tenant, whatever they call it, that governs the BC landlords and all that, it's not it doesn't apply to federal land. So there is something federal in the federal land that is like a tenant thing, but it's a bit different than the BC one. Okay, thank you.
As I'm listening to what my friend is saying here, I can see, I would probably be frustrated as well, if I'm treated, as if I don't look after and I don't show responsibility, by looking after that rental unit in a, responsible way. And then to be treated, the same way. And then maybe, after, 3 times, once a month, you've checked off, that you're a responsible renter, then maybe there's something in the policy that can change and say, yeah, we'll make it every 6 months or something, but the ones that need a monthly check-in, I'd rather have them be checked in once a month than wreck the place, which is over $565,000 per unit, You know, so I think you earn, you know, your right to rent that place. And if you're a good renter, then great, you know, but not to be treated, you know, by somebody who's, you know, making holes in the wall, you know, and not cleaning it up. I think there should be two different, you know, figure out a way, you know, where we can hold people accountable, but also, you know, look after that rental unit, because that's our community investment. Right now, to see all of that storage stuff on the balconies, I don't know who's responsible for that, Eunice or Chris, but it sure looks, you know, like we need to have some kind of a storage rental unit so that everybody gets all that stuff off of those balconies. You know, like, and then maybe if we charge them high enough, you know, they'll get rid of their stuff. I don't know. But yeah, it certainly doesn't look like units that are over $500,000 each per unit. Just my 2 bits. Thank you.
There was a question up here too.
Hi, I'm Nicole West, and just reviewing everything and listening to the point system. Like, I completely understand how it works. Like, I just wanted to have my opinion that, like, I did make it to, like, the last stage of being approved. But one thing that I found unfair for myself is that I wasn't a contributing member to the Kispiox based on my line of work. Just because, like, I am making a living and I do have income, but I was told on my previous application that I didn't get chosen because I wasn't a contributing member. And I just felt like that was very unfair for myself, just because, you know, I'm trying to make a living, and I've been living on reserve for 4 years, and I completely understand, like, anyone that's may come before me that has disability, or they're an elder, or they have children, but I think something that, based on my opinion, is if we could improve on that piece of just, it shouldn't be based on where you work and if you're a contributing member or not. And I just wanted to mention that.
Well, and then maybe can we for a moment have all of our members of Chief and Council stand up so everyone in the room can see, because there are quite a few of you here tonight, and I would like to acknowledge that and thank you all for coming. So maybe, I know you guys were all sworn in, but welcome Chief and Council, and you're all throughout the building here, so just acknowledging that they are here and present tonight, so thank you. And they are the ones who, you know, have a lot of the things that have come up, and the reason that was put in is because our school and our, like, child and family and a lot of these organizations are really struggling to get employees who can have a place to live. So then they're gonna not work for our school, and our school is struggling to, so that was part of the reason that this was put in. But, you know, they are the ones to hear that maybe it's time to take that out, or they can make that consideration as they go. Again, like, each time your application is denied, these 5 points, they do end up adding up if you just keep applying. So that is my advice every time, because a lot of these times with the jobs, it's they are coming to work at the school and they're band members, and then they'll get those points, but eventually, like, you'll surpass that if you just please keep applying. Yeah.
So I have 2 questions. The first one, well, you said that when you apply for renovation within that certain time frame, and council selected everyone for a renovation, and we didn't get selected, and I sent my renovation request. a couple of times, and you mentioned that the renovations that were selected, it was everyone that got their applications in, and we never got selected. And the other question I have, I noticed that there are some subletting in the community, and also the other one is we have non-band members renting. And I'm just wondering if you are getting their band membership cards photocopied? Because I know of a couple people that are renting from us, and we can't seem to get any rents from Gitten Max or Glenvowel because we're Kispiox band members. And then we allow that in our community, and we have a lot of people that aren't getting selected for these units that you guys have renting.
So I check with the membership about band membership, so she has the most up-to-date information. And so I've inherited one non-band member who's a tenant, so it's kind of like they've been in place long before me. Since I've been in, everybody who's been selected has been a band member, confirmed by our membership. So, and then for the other one, it's for that intake period. So when I put out that post accepting renovation applications, all the ones that came in that specific time period. So anything that came before would have had to been resubmitted in that time period. But again, I don't want to talk specific situations, so I'd love to set up a meeting with you to talk about this, okay? Last scan for hands. All right, now I'm going to go back to ongoing projects. So right now we are working with FNIC, or the First Nations Housing and Infrastructure Council, on their pilot project to bringing asset management into First Nations communities. And so they will supply us with an asset management program, because we currently have none, and they will send in their home assessors and train Kispiox workers in how to walk through the homes and assess where in the life cycle different components of your home are at. And so they'll spend about 1 hour in each home in the community, and the assessment could have up to 5 people in your home to get it done more quickly, as well as train our staff in how to do them. And so they have a quote on their website that I really, really liked. It says, housing management is the process housing asset management is the process by which we determine how to use our limited resources best to sustain and prolong healthy and safe homes. By implementing a system such as this, your community will be able to determine the value and condition of your homes, when to maintain or replace them, extend the life of your homes, and plan for new homes while having deeper understanding of what is needed for ongoing operations. Most importantly, having the system in place enables leadership and staff to make informed decisions, which are crucial steps towards sustainability and self-determination. And so basically, we are going to be having some of their home assessors, up to 3 of their home assessors, come in and look at each home in the community. And then they will, like I said, be looking at where in the life cycle different components are. So if your roof has 10 years left in it, they'll mark that down and they'll put it in a computer system so that we can see as staff and council that next year we're going to have to do 20 roofs, or these many hot water tanks. And so that as we move forward in the community, we can make really good choices on what we're doing with our renovations applications, so that it can be well-informed decisions being made, and we can look at the health and safety of the homes in the community as a whole, and not just squeaky wheel gets the grease, or we can just look at the entire community and make really good decisions. And so I just wanted to let you know we're really in the planning stages for this right now, so I don't have any dates for when they'll be coming into the community, but I'm really excited about this, and I think it means that going into the future, we're going to have some really great housing in Kispiox, and everybody will hopefully have some healthy, safe homes to live in. They sent me some brochures, and this is what you all got today. But I'm really excited about this. I think it will really change how we make renovation decisions in the future and just make information really accessible and easy. I finished my water up here. And then the other thing that we're also doing in conjunction with the Lands Department is the Home Address Initiative. So I don't know if any of you are aware, but in the older area of Kispiox especially, some of the addresses that are shown on the house and on your hydro bill don't match what the band has. And maybe you notice that if you go sign out a turkey hamper in the older area and our number doesn't match your number and what you get on your hydro bill. And so when the 911 system was brought in, Regional District changed some of the addresses to match what they wanted in their system. And so just to make sure that if you call 911, they know where to find your home. And so there will be people going around and checking which ones are correct and matching to the Regional District system and which ones don't. And for the ones that don't match, they'll be putting the numbers up on the homes and fixing that all. So I don't know if we have a timeline for when that's going to happen for installation, spring 2026. And that's it from me. Any more questions tonight? Doesn't appear so. Thank you all for your time. So the asset management is for all of the homes in Kispiox, privately owned and rental homes. Lorne.
Just on the reno part there, so I know on a new build, you go get your loan and everything, but until that it's paid off, you get a CP. So how does that work for the reno part? Because they're already in there and they already possess the CP. So just a question and clarification, and maybe the it's usually 25 years, right?
Yeah, so once you build a house, you're not eligible for a renovation for, I believe it is 25 years. And then can you clarify what you're saying about the CP?
An individual goes in and gets a loan for whatever, maximum 250,000, but then they don't pay. How do you deal with that?
Thank you for bringing that up. So if you go to get this mortgage program for a renovation, you will have to sign your certificate of possession back over to the band until the debt is paid in full to the bank. And once it's paid off with the bank, then it goes back to you. So thank you. That's a really important thing to bring up for everybody to know.
So do you guys have a replacement build funding? Because some time ago, I remember there was a CP passed by the band stating that they had replacement funds for people who had fire in their homes or their house was destroyed against their will. And I'm just wondering, because my brother, he's deceased now, had a replacement fund because his house burned. And now his wife is still paying. I know that they've been paying a lot. When he got his monies for Indian Day School, he paid a big sum in there. And he didn't get a receipt for it, but I know he did. And I'm just wondering if you are able to bring up all the costs and the replacement funds from DIA. I know that's what was used on his home, was a replacement fund. And then now I have my other friend who had a house fire and stuff. How are you guys gonna assist them? I know you guys are thinking that insurance, she should have had insurance. But what about them? Have you guys ever looked into it? Are you guys gonna do anything for them? You know, I hope you guys make a move. These people have been living in their trailers. And it breaks my heart. They have little children, and you guys aren't doing anything about it.
So in case of fire, there is no funding beyond what I've shared with you tonight that we get at the band office. Yeah, there's just no funding. There is like the renovations program that can be applied for, but like I've shared, it's been really slow and painful to try to access. And I don't really want to get into anything specific, but if you'd like to come in and meet with me with Delilah, like we can do that. as long as Delilah consents to having a private meeting with you involved, that's the biggest thing, but not in this forum, okay? And, but like I said, I'd love to meet with you with the issues you've raised before. If anybody else has anything specific, like I'm always a pretty open door. The only time if you walk in, the only time you won't get to see me is if I've already in a meeting, basically. So I try to be pretty open door at the band office, so please come by and we can talk. If you want to bring Delilah in and talk about that, we can too. And then for the other one, there is no funding, so they will need to come in and we can work on that. I mean, I know they've reached out to Blanca, and so through Blanca we've been kind of talking. I've been involved with Blanca because they've been her point of contact at this point, so that is as much as I'll say on it, okay? Because no, there's no replacement fund at all. Yes, I would love to find something for that. So we are currently... So a lot of dollars are very targeted for what you can spend them for. I don't know if you came to the community meeting where I think Blanca was sharing about our funding right now is in a year-to-year agreement with ISK where we receive our money monthly from them. Everything we receive is pretty much application-based. And so, we've been working really hard as staff to make sure we know what we can apply for. With housing, those programs are kind of it right now. The housing support program, they don't have anything for replacement. We've been in touch with ISK about the fire to see, just again, bang on their door and say, hey, we have these emergencies, we have this need, we need emergency support. And like I said, we've been trying to ask them for some emergency dollars to help us out. As it stands, there's no emergency dollars for the rest of the departments, what they're applying for. I'm sure Blanca shared more at the community meeting that had already happened, and it will come up again and again, because it's just in this 1-year agreement with ISK, though, it's harder to go versus when, you're talking about what Marge had with Gitamax. That was under GGC, the Gitsan Government Commission, and we have left them now, so it's a bit of a different position that we're in right now.
So when did we apply for that? When did we apply for the 1 year as a band member? I don't recall having a meeting stating that we're going to go band controlled. I never signed no papers on that, and I want to know when.
Thank you. Those major decisions are made by the council. I don't know. Because that was, we disengaged as of April 1st, 2023. That was the day of disengagement. And we went into direct core funding agreement with ISK. But we will reinstate, with my team, we are confident we will reinstate similar funding we used to have with GGC. It's called block funding. Now it's a 10 years grant or a new relationship funding agreement, which will give us that so much needed emergency funding for renovations, which we used to have through GGC. We used to get extra 750,000 for emergencies, which we don't have since April 1st, 2023. But with the 10 years grant, new block funding, we will be receiving that extra funding again. And we are, I don't know, six months away or 7 from April 1st, 2026. It was just quite rough 3 years or 2 since disengagement. It's very, very hard on the band staff as well, believe me. It's not easy for us. Thank you.
I have a question. In regards to, I think it was before we had the nomination and there was just an information sharing. I can't remember the exact date, but I know that one of the longtime members was saying, when are we going to get a fire chief so that we can not be paying the higher price for house insurance? And as a house owner myself, yeah, I wouldn't be able to afford, you know, just under $2,000 every year for house insurance. But at the same time, the way things are going in our reserve, you know, I do get a little bit nervous, you know, when I can't be in my house 7 days a week, you know. And I want to know, yeah, where are we at in regards to that? Because if anything happens to anybody's home, you know, we're all going to be feeling it. And don't think, you know, just because you're on chief and council that you're going to be free of not worrying about that. This applies to everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Laureen. Our fire hall is not a commercial certified fire hall yet. Process, of course, it's hard, difficult for us. Official fire chief is a paid position with salary of about $140,000, which the band simply doesn't have. The government doesn't provide fire chief or similar position funding at all. Annually, we are getting $12,000 a year for the for the fire protection, and about $30,000 a year for fire training, smoke alarms. Funding is $60 per house per year. That budget is from the government. So again, the band is not in position being able to hire a commercial fire chief for and pay the cost. Simply, we don't have that money. If the government will change funding policies, then yes. Because we are 100% dependent on the government funding. Government is providing about 60% of funding which is really needed to run proper services, so we are 40% short. Government is well aware of it. And bench just doesn't have any mining royalty or gold mine other income. We just don't have it. So it's totally dependent on the government, unfortunately. Thank you.
Door prizes.
So, all right, Aiden is just grabbing the bowl and we're going to do our door prizes because I think that is it. Thank you all for coming out tonight and spending your evening with me. Hopefully, share the information that you've learned tonight, and if anybody, that is interested in housing or understanding, like I said, I keep a pretty open door policy. So, I'm always happy to meet with members as long as I'm not already in a meeting. And yeah, I got this all mixed up. So I'm going to work up to the grand prize, which is a $200 Amazon card. Second prize is a $150 Sport Check card. Third prize is a $150 Market card. And then we have some $50 gas cards that I have, 4 of them. So maybe I will get Aiden to draw the first name, or first number, sorry.
Is this? Oh yeah, it is. 0766082.
And you do have to be here.
0766082. Oh, congrats. Woohoo!
And maybe get her to draw the next number.
This is yours. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I have the bowl. What am I doing? It's been a long day.
Zero 0766087. 087.
Oh.
Ooh.
There you go. All right.
Oh, this is his.
Get you to draw the next one. All right. 0766066.
066. Uh-oh.
Ends in 066.
Must have ran away.
Last call on
Going
066. All right,
Yeah.
here. Get Aiden to redraw.
All right.
His name is not in there.
Yeah. 065. Woo! Go give it. We're good.
There you are. 079.
Oh.
There we go.
All right.
061. We're good. Uh-oh. Guys, scrap for it. Ooh. 084. Oh. Woohoo! Zero eight eight. Oh, pass. Congrats over here. There you go. Yeah, help me out. Oh, I gotta grab that. Thank you. Oh, me? Uh-oh. Oh. Oh, that's an old one? That's an old one. Uh-oh. That was me. Better not pick that one. Zero 071. Woo! Woohoo! Don't spend it all in one place.
All right, that is it for prizes. Thank you all so much. I don't know if there's any left to take some so'o, but please take some. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Take it all. Take a bunch of pop too.
Hello, before everybody leaves, just a reminder that we do have another community meeting scheduled for Monday, risk management plan. So please come out and, because we'll need your input. It's a very important meeting. And if you can invite your friends and family, that would be really appreciated. So Monday, 5 p.m. Thank you. Supper is served.